Okay, today with me is Ginny Holliday from Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. She is a very dear friend of mine for close to 40 years. And this is just not any person you're going to be hearing today. She has amazing gifts and a mission here on this earth. She is a medical intuitive. She's done iridology for years, reflexology. She's a colon hydrotherapist. She works extensively with aroma therapy, more than anyone I've ever met. I've learned so much from Ginny throughout the years, and I still do every day in so many ways. She also has specialized in ERT, which is emotional release therapy, which so many people need today more than ever. And what I like a lot how Ginny works too, and I have the same philosophy, is that there are several ways our body gets sick. Not one thing causes, not one thing cures. So it takes several different modalities to help the body to heal. And this Ginny has mastered, and I mean mastered, throughout the years in working with people, and the evidence of the results she gets with working with people absolutely shows that. And today what we're going to be talking about is the Tesla Biohealers and the Tesla generators. And Ginny and I have had incredible personal results with using the Tesla Biohealers, as well as all the different people we are working with. But she is the one who has led me in this direction. And now I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to you, Ginny, and share what your story is in starting to work with this level of healing like never before.
Sure, it's nice to be with you today. I suppose the best way for me to start out with this is my introduction to the Tesla was through a very serious health condition. It was an advanced case of colitis that my husband had. And unfortunately, we got to him a little bit too late, that he didn't make it, but it still was well worth the introduction to Tesla. And during that course of time, whenever he was going through some really, really difficult last days, they said that he had a blood clot the size of my hand in his one leg. I had gotten the canisters in, and as soon as I got them surrounded around his body. And I specifically had put a pillow on top of one of the generators in order for his leg that contained that blood clot, in order for that leg to get a special individualized energy, life force energy into that leg, because they felt that the blood clot would be what would kill him. But it was only in a matter of 4 days that blood clot was totally dissolved, and the doctors and the nurse just had absolutely no explanation for it whatsoever, because he wasn't taking anything for it. So it was pretty remarkable just to see that blood clot, that they said it would just keep accumulating more cells and becoming larger and larger until the entire bottom part of his leg, that the blood flow would be totally blocked off. And that never happened. So that was my first introduction to it. And from that point on, I've kind of just used it for my own self for a short period of time, and realized that the gift that I received in the introduction through my husband needing these canisters was really something that I was supposed to be using in my business for others as well, because we've done remarkable things with it. And so that's how my end of the story goes, as far as the application, how I got started in the Tesla units.
So Ginny, I want to let people know right here, as you mentioned, the canisters, we probably want to make the distinction between a biohealer and a biocanister. And for our listeners, this is a way that Nikola Tesla, this method came up with years and years ago of how to harness life force energy. And I'll let Ginny explain here in a minute about the details, the power of these canisters, that you don't plug them into the wall. They are already enforced with the life force energy. And so people who may be having difficult sleeping at night, people who are having anxiety, which is 9 out of 10 people, people are having a lot of pain, a lot of inflammation. They might have, well, I'll go into this a little more shortly, different skin lesions. It could help people from even hair falling out, a lot of gut situations, bacteria building up in the gut, heavy metals, blood clotting. So this is where, wow, working with the Tesla Biohealers and Canisters has been such a life-changing experience, even in my own health, even in my own healing. And I remember this has been, wow, last year now, I think around October, went and flew out to Pittsburg area and stayed with Ginny. And she let me use the generators in her healing room. And instantly, I felt the rush of circulation in my legs. I was convinced instantly that no matter what, when I get home, I'm ordering this, I got to offer it to other people, have it around myself so much. And I remember, Ginny, when I first saw you there, because we haven't seen each other in several years, you just look 10 years younger, and you still do. I mean, it's the energy you have and how it's slowing down the deterioration of cells. It's actually doing the opposite, which you're going to explain how and why this is happening with this. So then I knew this is something that I want to have here. I want to have available for people in my facility as well. So you have some specific facts about the Biohealer and the canisters we need to hear. Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say, if you think about light energy, they're using light energy right now on solar panels, and that light energy can be converted to be energy that we use in lights that we put into our home, cooking, whatever you want it to be, but it's all coming just from light. This is the same kind of theory with the life force energy that Nikola Tesla has been able to harness. And that's what has been contained within these canisters. And I would say that those that have been at Judy's healing room, there are small, what is called the biohealers. Now, the biohealers, contain a certain amount of healing energy. And of course, the larger generators contain even more so. But if you take into consideration that the human body is born with the cells, let's say you've got 5 trillions of cells in your body, and the majority of those cells are going to have a life force energy of between 70 and 90 millivolts. Okay, as we get sick, or let's say stress, even stress by itself can deteriorate the life force energy in our cells. Being around negative people, negative words, negative thought processes will lower that millivoltage that is in our cells. Now, just to give you an idea, I'm going to just read a couple because these are statistics and too many to remember off the top of my head. But if you think about this, if nuclear radiation, so if you talk about maybe a microwave oven or an X-ray, you are going to, that contains about 1,000 millivolts. So that's going to deplete your cells by 1,000 millivolts. Now, what I'm going to tell you, the chemtrails, if you ever see those chemtrails in the sky, they hang around up there until it rains or it snows, and then it comes down like an invisible blanket on us. Those chemtrails contain a minimum of 4,000 millivolts, and that's depleting your body's cells at 4,000 millivolts. Just to give you an idea, things like terminal cancer, stroke, COPD, that has 6,000 millivolts. Now, a person in average health their cells will contain an average of 10,000 millivolts. Now, just to do a comparison with the biohealers, our biohealers are pretty phenomenal because they contain 50,000 millivolts. So just a little biohealer is going to deliver a life force energy back into your cells of 50,000 millivolts. However, the generators that are the large type of canister, the generators, each one will deliver 50 million millivolts. So whenever you are in one of our healing rooms and you have 5 or 6 or 2, you just multiply that 50 million millivolts that's being delivered to your cells. So as you go through the process of exposure to these units are going to enhance the cell's energies. That's what they do. So they can take a 6 cell and take it from a 40,000, let's just say 40,000 millivolts, and expose it to 50 million millivolts, and you can have a 6 cell going to a healthy cell. You can transform that. So there will be different stages that you will go through. And this is something I think we wanted to talk about, was the detoxing, the different stages. When you first are exposed to these canisters, the Tesla healing, the first stage that you go through is considered a recharge stage. At the recharge stage, you're going to feel energized because that's what you've done. You've taken a lot of the 6 cells and you've energized them from whatever they were at. You've just increased their life force energy. They're at a higher level of living, which puts you in a higher state of living as well. So the first stage is recharging, which makes you feel better sleep. If you are in chronic pain, you'll have less pain. If you have headaches, you will most likely have less headaches, if any at all. And you will notice that your energy seems to be revitalized. But the more that you're on this, and one of these treatments, I would tell you, is not enough, because there's a stage 2. And stage 2 puts you into the detox stage. The detox stage is where you may experience flu-like symptoms. You may feel that you require more sleep. But no matter what, this is where you want to support the body, and you want to make sure that you're taking like the Pura Cleanse and drinking plenty of water, because this is where you did the recharge and now you're detoxing. You had to recharge in order to get the cells enough energy to be able to start detoxing. And that's the process that you're in right now. it depends on the condition. It depends on the health of the body as far as how long each individual will go through that. You will definitely notice that if it gets to a point where it feels uncomfortable, then these are the times that you'll have to let myself or Judy know that you are just detoxing too much, too fast, because then we'll have to move the generators a little bit further from you so that you are detoxing on a little slower basis. Not everybody can handle that much detoxing at a fast rate. As I said, it's individualized, and there's a certain amount of communication that is required on your part if you're not able to handle that detox. But once you've gone through that second stage, which is phase 2, the detoxing, you'll go back into your recharge again. Now, I've had some individuals say, well, the first time I did this, I felt so much energy and so much difference. And the third time now from the recharge, detox, recharge. So into the recharge for the second time, they don't feel the same ramped up energy that they did the first. Well, no, you don't, because you've become accustomed to what the first phase did for you. And so you're not going to energize those cells that were at 40 and you get them up to a 60, and now you're taking them from a 60 to a 70. So you're not going to feel the same type of energy flowing at that rate, because you're becoming more accustomed to the cells vibrating at a higher frequency. Okay, so I would say also, I've been doing a little experiment. I have a head of cauliflower that is organic, and I'm doing a little test study for myself. And what I did is I stuck one of the smaller Biohealers in the refrigerator, and I wanted to see what type of life force energy it could deliver to this head of cauliflower before it starts to get like that little gray, it's like a mold or something that wants to grow on the white part of the cauliflower. So I have this Biohealer right next to the head of cauliflower, and I'm at the end of 5 weeks, and it shows absolutely no sign of any breakdown in the head of cauliflower at all. So I'm pretty impressed with that. So I'm going to just see how long it's going to last like that before it decides to break down, but it won't surprise me if I go 3 months with it. It's pretty good, pretty awesome. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about what the Tesla healing energy can do for the body. It's actually taking cells that are sick, and it's helping to promote the detoxification. And that has to be one of the things that is priority in your body, because it's a normal thing for the body to do to keep itself alive and healthy, not just alive, but healthy. And when you have to detox, your body can only detox based on the amount of energy that's held within each one of your cells. This is why the body works so well with the Tesla life force energy, because it knows to recharge the cell's energies first, so it has enough energy to push the toxins out when you go into the second phase of detoxification. So different people will go through different phases, different lengths of time. And the best thing for you to do is just stay in constant contact with Judy or myself, where you are making sure that, you're doing your part, because sometimes a person may have a condition that requires them to have more than one session a week. It just depends on what you're dealing with. And because we're doing this as a Zoom, I can't prioritize those timelines for you. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Ginny. Boy, this just brings up more good thoughts here to share. It has helped people with PTSD. You have just reminded me about that. And a lady that I've known, she was just in here this morning at the healing room, who've had migraines for close to 30 years. In 1 month of using the Biohealers and generators, gone, nothing. And the thing that I love about what we do with this, Ginny, and helping other people is, yes, it's an over-counter medical device. It's considered an over-counter medical device, but we are not using any chemicals whatsoever we're using just the harnessed life force energy. And in the canisters, there's jade, there's amethyst, there's clear quartz crystal, there's copper. And it's, life force energy, granted, it's in the stars, it's in the sun, it's in the moon, it's in the earth, it's in our trees, it's everywhere. But on this level, talk about life healing life, nature, working with nature. We have that. We have access to that. We're not putting more chemicals in the body. Chemicals are being released out of the body. This lady who just left, she was saying how it's almost like her skin every night smells like ammonia and chemicals. Well, it's coming out of the body. And from how I've been trained for years, and it's been very consistent until now, is it takes about 1 month to every year the body's been in that condition to heal, to reverse its own tissue condition. All bets are off now using the Tesla Biohealer and canisters. Healing has sped up so fast. And the two main reasons the body can get out of balance is too much of something, toxicity, not enough of something else, deficiency. Okay, and we're not talking about yet the mind and the emotions, all of that, because this definitely addresses these healing sessions, absolutely opens the heart on that level. But when you can help the body to absorb better and release the toxins that we are exposed to on a daily basis, I don't care how pure you eat or live, we are exposed to stuff that is out of our control. And this is a method that is helping to raise the immune system, our body's ability to fight off infections, strengthen that. And then, Ginny, I think the very first experience I really had next to this improving circulation is it just opened up my heart. It opened up, it just softens. And I see this with people that, and maybe you could share a little bit about this, that who have held on to so much in their past. And you've had, wow, a lot of experiences with this, with people, of what it does, even in the first session with the heart.
Yeah, and that is another modality to get into, which is you and I use, I want to say, medicinal grade essential oils with our Tesla treatments that we do. And so this enhances everything that we do, but we do other things also where we're opening up the meridians to the body to make sure all of those meridians have an energy flow that is able to make sure that we're healing from head to toe, that the meridian isn't closed halfway down through the torso, and then you only get a partial healing done. So we're using several different types of modalities with what we do when we do these sessions. And that's one of the things that's great about this, is working on mind, body, and spirit. And you have to be whole in all three of those areas in order to have a complete healing. And I would say that with the Tesla units that we use, there's lots of Tesla units being developed in the marketplace right now. But I would also tell individuals they need to be cautious, because not all of the units are what is considered biological friendly to the body. These are, and these are the most powerful that's on the marketplace at this time. So there is a difference in what you use. And another thing I would say, in regards to, I have said this and it just seemed to click with a lot of individuals, that if you think about the cells in your bodies are like a little battery, okay? As if you think about the battery in your car, the battery in your lawnmower, and it doesn't start, what do you say? The battery's dead. Well, what about the batteries in your body? Those little batteries are dying. Well, you can recharge the battery in the car, right? Well, you can't use the same jumper cables to charge the human body, but you can use the Tesla. The Tesla is going to recharge those little cells, what we're going to call batteries, in your body so that you are able to reap the benefits of that energy. And I would tell everybody, whenever they come in to do the healing session with us, they should bring their water. Bring a water bottle with you, because energize your water that you're drinking also while you're there. You'll definitely notice a difference in it. But in talking about the emotions, it doesn't matter how you're detoxing, if it's mental, if it's emotional, if it's physical, it all has to, even spiritual, it all has to be a part of the detox process. So the incorporation of the essential oils is not only helping to facilitate the detoxing process, at the same time, it's bringing balance to where that detoxing is occurring. Because one thing about the Tesla life force energy, it knows what cells to go after in order to help bring a higher state of life to them. Okay.
I really like that, Ginny. It reminds me of, I've had a few people share like, oh, how can this little thing really be that powerful? How can this really do that? And I want to say, well, do you see how Wi-Fi works? But it works. You can't actually see it work. Do you know how the sun helps plants to grow, through photosynthesis? But you know it does. What about your prayers being answered? Okay, and thought, you can't see it, but it's powerful, and it does have a vibration that goes to something. Everything is a life force energy. Everything has a life force energy, has spirit, has a vibration to it. So this has been a way after, to harness this level of energy to help the body heal. We've worked with, you and I, energy for years, and how we know the body is our last teacher to finally, let us know what's going on in our spirit. Maybe we're not listening to it, but the body's going to let us know what's going on. So working with the Tesla canisters, Biohealers, gives us such a positive option to reverse the aging process, to regenerate the cells. And I think overall what I see in people's faces after coming in, being in the healing room and being exposed to this is hope. They feel hope. They don't feel as stuck, and their mind becomes clear and their body has more flexibility. And here's where I want to mention that these are not what's called the big med beds that are coming. They are considered Tesla Medbed canisters, but there is a distinction, a difference between that, those that are coming. But this is something for now that can be used. There is no other place in Colorado that's doing this. The level that Ginny that you're working on in your healing rooms with these med beds, nobody in Pennsylvania is doing the work on this level. I can absolutely know that for sure. And I hear the stories, I see the stories, you know, that what people are getting benefits from, and it's so exciting. And the thing I love working with you so much too, your heart is so invested in how to always improve. How can we make this better for people? How can we help them to get the results even sooner? Okay, there doesn't have to be time and space like there used to be. Actually, there isn't. You know, the healing is happening so fast with people. I have found, and I think you have too, it's rare, but there are a few people who couldn't stand to be around them. And when there's a lot of dark energy in a person, a lot of stuck energy, they're not going to want to be near this beautiful life force that has so much light. Okay, we are here to feel the most magnificent potential we have, and to be in the light and be in love. That is where all healing ultimately takes place. And you've had some of these experiences with, there's been a couple people that, I mean, if there's entities, it's not going to work. Well,
Well, I know that, first of all, if you were to go in a dark room, what do you see? Nothing. There's nothing there. You need the light. You need the light to see, and you need the light to live. And I know that whenever we tend to get to a certain point of ill health, whether it's emotional, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, you have an opportunity to make a choice and a decision from the choices. And it's critical at that point that you fight, because life is worth fighting for. And the Tesla units make it so much easier. It's like a built-in support system that will help illuminate that. But if you don't work with it, then it's a tug of war. And then sometimes people are not willing to go that route, nor can they stand to do it. And we both know why. That darkness just takes over an individual that just feels gloom and doom instead of hope and love and reality of what can be. So just as an example, I had a young man who had a cerebral bleed that they didn't expect him to even live. It was so bad, and then thought that he would have severe brain damage. And fortunately, he did not have the brain damage. The brain, he's right on target with his thinking process, but his neurological system was very much affected, unable to walk very well, and has extreme problems with balance, can't feel the bottoms of his feet like a diabetic with neuropathy. Well, just one of the cases that I want to say, one session with the Tesla units, the essential oils, and making sure the meridians were open, he now has feeling in the bottom of his feet for the first time in 2 years. And that was just with one session. So we've taken a person who has felt gloom and doom, and now has that hope. Just with that hope, that's going to facilitate his healing process so much faster. And I mean, we probably couldn't have done it just with one thing. That's why you and I are doing several different modalities with this. As you said, there isn't one reason and one way that we get sick. So you and I are approaching this, that we are going to use everything that we possibly can in order to have the most positive outcome with the human body. And just like, and I'm going to let you speak on this, but the last Zoom that we did with the canisters, where we incorporated the minerals and the silica and several different other things, I think we had such a feedback of it being the most powerful class that we had done yet, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm going to let you pick it up here because you have more contact on that.
Well, and what you're bringing up, Ginny, is let's talk about our once a month remote healing sessions. So we're not limited by people just coming here. So we started this probably a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and we put our generators together and Biohealers, and we put some other crystals in the circle. Ginny creates her circle, I create my circle. We mesh the circles together, and we do remote healings once a month. And I'll tell you what, it's significant what people really feel from that. And these sessions are about 20 minutes, but we leave our healing circles open all night long, that people can, the evenings we have these, when they go to bed at night, they can imagine themselves in the circle, and more healing continues to take place. It is amazing. So actually, and then we put the minerals and the silica. I put Puricite. Everybody's got to get detoxified from these parasites. Okay. I put the Puricite on different products that we have on there. Even put the oils on. You suggested that we can even put a few of the oils on, and that vibration goes right into the cells of people. And oh my gosh, it even helps. I really think it helps the products to become even more efficient and stronger in their use as well. What I'd like you to do, Ginny, is okay, when a person first makes an appointment with you and they come into the room, what's the protocol you use? And I'll just mention it's probably pretty similar to what I do, but it would be really good for the listeners to know, okay, what are things that are important to know as they do this?
Okay, first of all, everybody's an individual. Everybody has their reason for being there. So that's going to base what essential oils I'm going to choose to use on that person. So if it happens to be respiratory, I'm going to perhaps even get, let's just say, essential oils, RC, eucalyptus. I might put those essential oils on their chest and then put warm preheated towels over top of the oils and then keep that warm in place. It's going to be directly related to a respiratory thing, but it doesn't mean that that's the only place that's going to benefit. If they have had other issues based on, how do I say this? Based on this, then that incorporates me having to use high Gauss magnets that would have to be used, and definitely purification oil on the bottom of the feet to help with any type of abnormal substance that might be in the body that we are trying to neutralize. As I told you, one of the meetings that we had a dog that had been bitten by a rattlesnake, and the venom was actually taking the hair off of the dog's leg, and then eventually the skin began just to fall off. And we used purification oil on the bottom of the paw pad because the leg was then put into a cast. Well, that purification oil did the trick. and totally neutralized all the venom that they wanted to remove the dog's leg, and the dog's leg was saved. The skin grew back, and so did the hair. So it really is based on each individual. But once we are able to kind of zero in on what their needs are, what the need is, that will get me to know where I want to place the canisters. We definitely want to put canisters at the head and at the feet so that we have a flow of life force energy from head to toe. If there happens to be something in that chest area, such as the respiratory, as we said, I may put those canister, the small biohealers in addition to that, into each armpit. And it's more localized towards that chest area with an extra emphasis on that. Then we would preset our meridians to be opened up, geared towards the respiratory system. So the gem rocks, then you get into the different gem rocks, that they would either be holding, or we would place those gem rocks directly on top of the generators. And that's the neatest thing, because just like what we did at our session in putting the minerals and the puricide and the silica, we put all of those items on top of our generators, and that was what was delivered to each individual that got into those circles that night. Well, if there's something else that we need to put during that session for that person, so let's just say, for instance, that they don't have a very good appetite, they're really lacking the nutrients in their cells, the part of their cells are dying because of the toxins, but part of the cell is dying because of lack of nutrients. Well, that's when I get my chelated minerals and the vegetal silica, and I put that on top of the canisters while they're having their session, and that is delivered to them, as well as the life force energy. And my feeling is the canisters are actually enhancing what is in the chelated minerals, what is in the silica, and they're even delivered at a higher level of healing. So if that kind of takes care of what you're looking for there. Yes.
That is great. Yeah, thank you. And this reminds me too, Ginny, that some people, we have our sessions here set up for 2 hours. They can opt to have an hour. And I have found, depending on what's going on in a person's body, they might not be able to handle the 2 hours initially, but I would say 9 out of 10 people do. So people are not used to relaxing. Okay, they're not, we'll give them some CBD gummies, okay, before they have their session, because at first they'll think, oh gosh, how can I lay here for 2 hours? And then after that time, I check them in an hour. Do they have to use the bathroom? And then at the end, they're like, is it over already? Oh my gosh, this went so fast. It's amazing when you're in this level of vibration and life force energy. There is no time, and people are just surprised, where did the 2 hours go? But I have found it quite fascinating for people to take that time out of their life for that, but they'll spend 2, 4, 5 hours on Facebook, or they'll spend hours and hours and hours on stuff that isn't really supporting their healing, and so they could feel better and stop complaining or whining, but they could start feeling so much better. And then once they have the first session, they will be like, oh my gosh, I want more of this. So, that's kind of a question people have asked, is how much time do I need to be on the generators? And how often do I need to have this done? So if you could kind of share a few thoughts on that.
Sure. I believe the very first session should never be less than the 2 hours. You're expecting cells that are very polluted. that recharge, which is phase one, has to occur in cells that are either very toxic or damaged. And as much as people don't realize it, I mean, there's so many EMFs that are being delivered with cell phones and computers. This is why diodes are so important for people to either place on their computers, or like Safe Sleeve has a radiation repellent that is right on for your cell phone, so that you're not getting all these EMFs. But the first session should definitely be a minimum of 2 hours, because it's in that recharge, and it's trying to recharge with a lot of obstacles that might be there, the emotions, the toxicity, you know, there's a lot of things going on. So to expect the body to be able to do as much as it needs to do, if you cut it down to an hour, then you're not going to get as much with your second phase of detoxification, and it'll be longer for you. Now, if you go into the detox and you say you're going to do 2 sessions or 2 hours, I'm sorry, you're going to do 2 hours with the detox. This is where some people may not be able to handle it, but I would go for the gusto, and I would do the 2 hours. And if you feel like it's too much, then whenever you go into your next recharge stage, which you should do the 2 hours, then do your detox again for 1 hour, approaching it and maybe a little bit slower. And maybe you could do the 2 hours, you still want it, but maybe move the canisters and generators a little bit further from the body, so it's not so intense. Because I have mine almost, I tell them, don't raise your hands above your head, because you're going to knock the generators or hit something, the crystals, because I have them as close to the body as possible. And like yourself, we have them right up against the legs, between the legs, the ankles. So you could always move that just at the foot of the bed if they're going through the detox that is too much. That's the only time that it's going to really be a problem for anybody. They're not going to find a problem with the recharge state. The only time that you'll find that you might have to cut it down, it would be during the detox state. Okay.
Yeah, that's really, oh, this is just great information for you know, anyone who's really considering trying the Tesla Biohealers, Tesla Medbed canisters. It's a life changer. You just have to experience it. It's one of those things you can read about it and might think, oh yeah, this is pretty hocus pocus, until you have an experience with it. It's like, yeah. And you know what? We're going to be exposed to more and more of this kind of healing technology and energies. That's what's coming, you know, to be less attached to the chemicals and more connected into what is, how we've been created, how the body can keep supporting, healing itself in between these sessions. It will keep working in between the sessions. I know, because that's another question. People say, well, does it hold? You know, well, yeah, there's different variables. You want to start changing your nutrition. You want to start making more positive improvements in your body when you become less inflamed, you know, when there's less inflammation in the body and you can start thinking clear. You want more zest in life. And that's what I see happening with people too, especially with different things going on in the external world. This helps to start to calm things down in our internal world that is much bigger, much larger. No matter what, that universe in us is so much more magnificent than what we're seeing in the third dimension or what's going on outside of us. So in closing, are there any last thoughts you want to share or go over that might be good to cover?
I would just like to say, if people are just not sure if they want to do this or make any kind of changes in their life, but yet they're not well, I always say, if you want something you've never had, then you must do something you've never done. And if you always do what you've always done, you'll always have what you've always had. So then I say, how important is it to you that you live life to the fullest and you live it well? And that's all based on the changes that you're willing to make, because we've been raised in a world that has gotten us so chemically oriented to accept that that is the way life is, and it's not the way life is supposed to be. Our bodies are not compatible with chemicals. And a part of the resistance is you take one drug for something, and then it creates two other issues in your body. And then pretty soon you're taking something else for those issues that creates something else. It's a chain reaction. So the body has been created to heal itself of absolutely anything. And it says in Genesis, God says, I give you the plants, not only as your food, but also as your medicine. And these trees and the flowers and the grass all dies down during the winter, but it comes back the next year, unless it's their time to go. And so we need to do the same thing with our bodies. We take better care of our pets and our cars than we do our bodies. And people need to start paying more attention to what they do with their bodies these days. It's an adjustment.
That's great. Thank you, Ginny. I didn't mention that you do saliva testing as well. And Ginny is spot on with this saliva testing. In closing, could you share, if people need to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you and the name of your company?
Sure. It's Treasures for Health, and we're located at 47 Harrison Road, Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, 15037. And the telephone number is area code 412-751-2322. And we really prefer a reference. So if you just mention Judy's name, that would be all that I would need.
Great, thank you. And Ginny, I want to thank you so much for your time and working together and all that you've shared with us. And for everybody listening, I want to encourage you all to continue to create miracles together, and don't settle for less than who you are. Don't settle for less than what you want in life. And your body can be healthy and strong, because that's what we're created from. That's who we're made from, deep within inside of us. So thank you for joining us today. And until we meet again.